We are passing through a really hot season, the pleasurably hot season, and do look up for a cooling shower. Welcome once again to News Analysis. News Analysis, a weekly magazine on current affairs. To begin with the main points in a nutshell. Moscow attack, a test for Putin and his record against terror. Curfew continues in riot-hit Hyderabad. 13 Israeli airstrike hits Gaza Strip. India launches biometric census. US authorities may not allow Indian investigators to interrogate Agent Headley. Daimler agrees to pay $185 million after admitting bribery. Now the news in detail. Moscow attack, a test for Putin and his record against terror. The brazen suicide bombings in the center of Moscow confronted Prime Minister Vladimir V. Putin with a grave challenge to his record of curbing terrorism and raised the possibility that he would respond as he had in the past by significantly tightening control over the government. The explosions Monday set off by female suicide bombers in two landmark subway stations killed at least 38 people and wounded scores of others, touching off fears that the Muslim insurgency in southern Russia, including Chechnya, was once again being brought to the country's heart. The attacks during the morning rush hour seemed to all designed to taunt the security services, which have been championed by Mr. Putin in the decade since he took power in Russia. The first one occurred at Lubyanka subway station, next to the headquarters of the Federal Security Service, also known as the FSB, the successor agency of the Soviet KGB that was led by Mr. Putin in the 1990s. Mr. Putin, the former president and still Russia's paramount leader, has built his reputation in part on his success in bottling the Muslim insurgency in southern Russia and preventing major terrorist attacks in the country's population centers in the recent years. In bombings on Monday herald a renewed campaign by insurgents in major cities, then the legacy may be tarnished. Blast could derail Medvedev's software attack in the Caucasus. When two bombs rippled through the Moscow subway stations at rush hour on Monday morning, Russia's leaders reached for the kind of hunt them down and kill them statements that propelled the countries through two brutal wars in the Caucasus. President Dmitry Medvedev boasted that previous bombers had been annihilated to the ashes, calling them beasts simply. Prime Minister Vladimir V. Putin told the police to drag them out of the bottom of the sewer and into the light of God. So it was a surprise, barely a day after images of bloodied commuters flooded Russian airwaves, when Mr. Medvedev made a point publicly discussing poverty and unemployment in the North Caucasus, which he has said are the root causes of violence there. He said resolving those problems was even harder than looking for and destroying terrorists, but he planned to continue pursuing both the causes. Security checks on flights to US to be revamped. President Obama has signed off a new security protocols for people flying to the United States, establishing a system that uses intelligent information and assessment of threats to identify passengers who could have links to terrorism, a senior administration official said on Thursday. The new approach will replace a broader layer of extra scrutiny that has been imposed recently on all passengers from foreign countries, most of which are Muslim. Amid though Obama talks with Chinese leader. Tensions between China and the United States have ebbed significantly in recent days, with the countries now working together to deter Iran's nuclear ambitions, and with the Obama administration backing a politically charged clash over China's currency. The warning trend was evident in the Chinese government's announcement on Thursday that President Hu Jintao will attend a nuclear security summit meeting in Washington later this month. American officials have feared that Mr. Hu would skip the talks to express China's anger over recent diplomatic clashes, including a White House decision to sell arms to Taiwan and President Obama's meeting with the Dalai Lama, the exiled Tibetan leader. But this week, the drumbeat of bad news and an underlying narrative of rising China flexing its muscles against debt-laden United States has suddenly given way to talk of collaboration. Curfew continues in riot-hit Hyderabad. Curfew continued in riot-hit parts of Hyderabad for fourth day on Friday. Even though the situation remained peaceful, police were on high alert because of Friday prayers. Police decided not to relax the curfew in all 25 police station areas since they were anticipated trouble during Friday prayers. They have requested Muslims to pray in their residences. Militants blow up railway track in Kashmir. Militants attacked the Kashmir rail network for the first time, blowing up nearly 2 feet of track in Pulwama district, resulting in suspension of rail service linking South Kashmir with North Kashmir. The Ultras detonated an IED at Gulbarg, 43.6 km from here, around 10 p.m. last night, damaging 2 feet rail track, police said, adding there were no casualties. Rail service on track has been suspended. 13 Israeli airstrike hit Gaza Strip. Israeli planes have carried out 13 airstrikes on the Hamas-ruled Gaza Strip, Palestinian sources have told the news reporters. 4 of the strikes took place near the town of Khan Yunis, where Israeli soldiers were killed in clashes with Palestinian fighters last week. Israel says the operation was targeting 4 weapon factories. Several minor civil casualties were also reported. The latest violence is most serious since the end of Israel's assault on Gaza in January 2009. Palestinian and rights groups say more than 1,400 Gazans died in the conflict, while Israeli puts the figure 1,166. 13 Israelis, including 3 civilians, were also killed. India launches biometric census. India is launching a new census in which every person aged 15 will be photographed and fingerprinted to create a biometric national database. The government will then use the information to issue identity cards. Officials will spend a year classifying India's population of around 1.2 billion people according to gender, religion, occupation, and education. The exercise, conducted every 10 years, faces big challenges, not least India's vast area and diversity of cultures. Census officials must also contend with the high levels of literacy and millions of homeless people, as well as insurgencies by Maoists and other rebels which have left large parts of the country unsafe. President Pratibha Patil was the first person to be listed and appealed to fellow Indians to follow her example for good of the nation. Everyone must participate and make it successful, she said in Delhi. Tourists flock to Jesus' tomb in Kashmir. A belief that Jesus survived the crucifixion and spent his remaining years in Kashmir has led to rundown shrine in Srinagar, making it firmly onto the must-visit in India tourist trail. In the back streets of downtown Srinagar is an old building known as Razabal Shrine. It's a part of the city where the Indian security forces are on regular patrol or peering out from behind checkposts made of sandbags.